Welcome everyone to Selenium training by Wisdom Trainings. And today we are going to cover the topic of how we can build the test cases by the use of PyTest and how we can run them. For any doubts or queries, you can go over in your website over a free video section. Over here you can drop your questions and doubts in your Speak Your Mind section. And now proceeding further, if I'll talk about the PyTest. So we have already discussed that what PyTest is and how we can get PyTest in a system. So I'll start with the coding part over here. If I'll just first make my first test case today, so I'll say firstly I need to have to make a different package. So I'll just make a new package by the name module 10, and inside this module I'm going to make a new inside this package I'm going to make a new module by the name test first, right? Also there are two conventions before making the test case. I would like to discuss those two conventions that I have to face. Whenever you are making a module, do prefix the word test before making the name of a module. Otherwise what will happen is it will consider the module as a simple module instead of not a test case module, and it will not run that module when you will be running the whole package at a single go. Okay, and the second convention that we have while making the test cases is that whenever you are making some function, you need to have the test case. Or if I say what the test cases are, so the test cases are basically the functions that we create, right? The difference is just that you need to prefix the word test before the name of the function, otherwise it will be considered as a normal function instead of a test case. Okay, so now if I make the test case, let's say def first dot first. Okay, now inside that, instead of going into the very much coding, I'll simply will give a print statement. Let's say I'll say this is my first test case. Okay, this is very simple test case that I have made. I have prefixed the word test so that whenever I'm running the test case, it can be considered as a test. Otherwise, it will be a normal function. And till now we have learned that whenever we are calling some functions, we need to call them, right? If I want to see the output, I need to do this. I'll say I need to have to do this step. But when I talk about test cases, I don't have to do anything like that. There is something that we need to change in our settings. If we go to our Windows tab in the preferences, over at this PyDev block in the PyUnit, I just need to change the test runner over here. Over here you can see there are three different test runners. I just need to make it py.testrunner so that my test cases runs perfectly fine. Okay. Also, there is one more thing that you need to add is the -s. This -s is actually used whenever you are having some print statements in your test case. Those print statements are not actually viewed in the console. So to view all these print statements, you need to have this -s in your settings. So now when I want to run it, I'll simply will right click and I'll go to run as, and in the run as I will go to Python unit test. Okay, and I will run this simply by Python unit test, and you can see over here in my console, if I'll just show that to you, my print statement is very well visible that this is my first test case and the output says 1 passed in this much seconds. Okay, this is as simple as making a test case and running it from the IDE. Now it happens that when I want to run my test case from command prompt, so what I have to do for that? So simply what I'll do is I'll go to my command prompt, and to run any of the test case, what I need to do is I need to go to the the package where my test cases are lying. So what I'll do is I'll go to the properties and copy the path from here, and I'll go back to my command prompt and will change my path. Okay, and inside over here, I'm inside my location where my test case is lying. So when I want to run this test case, what I need to do is I need to give this command pytest. This pytest is for running the test cases from command prompt. After that, you need to give your test case module name. Okay, this is my test case module name, test underscore first dot py, and over here you can see that my test has been passed and it says one passed in this much seconds. But the thing to be noted over here is that the print statement is not visible over here. The reason over here is that I have made these settings. Okay, I have made these settings for the output to be seen in my console. Okay, so I put that -s in my settings to see the output on my console. But I have to put that -s over here as well to see my output, whatever the print statements that I'm using in my test case, to be visible on my command prompt as well. So what I'll do is I'll just add the -s over here, and now I will run my test case. So over here you can see that this is showing me the print statement that I have given in my test case, that this is my first test case, right? This is how you can run your test case, a single test case, and run it from your IDE and command prompt. Now when we talk about grouping, making more test cases like that, so what if I'll just make some test cases like this, test case and underscore second, and inside that I'll just simply will give the same print statement that this is my this is my second test case. Okay, I need to just a minute. Okay, this is as simple as we have done. So now if I'll run it, it will not make any such big difference. It will just give me the output of the second test case that I have run. Okay, same is with the case when I'm talking about the PyTest from running PyTest from my command prompt. The difference will be that now instead of using my first test case, I'll give the name of the another test case, right? Over here I have two different test cases, but in a single module. And over here I have given the name of my module to run the test case. So how will I be able to run a specific test case? That is what I need to be careful about. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll simply will go over here and I'll again give the same command as pytest. Pytest, and as we have given -s to just see what my output is coming from my test case. Now over here we'll change it to -k. This -k helps you to specify that you're going to run any specific test case. And after that you just need to give the name of your test case. So I'll say test case second. Okay. Now over here I'll run this. Okay, there is some issue. Just a minute. So due to some spelling issue it was not running, so I'll enter it again. Just a minute. And over here you can see that it says collected 2 item, 1 deselected and 1 selected. Now over here I have given the name of my test case second, so that means out of these two test cases both were collected, but this one got deselected. As I have not run this test case, I have run the test case second, so that's why it says 1 selected and 1 deselected. Okay, the same way if you have any other module in the same package, for that how you will be able to run. So for that, just let me make one more module over here. Let's say test multiple. Okay, in this case you are going to you want that as many as test cases are available in your whole package, you want to run all of them. So for that you need to run it from the command prompt. Okay, you'll run it from your command prompt, and there is a single one word command to run that, and that is pytest. So what this pytest will do, it will collect all the test cases that are lying in the module 10 and it will run all of them. So if I'll press enter, Just a minute. So you can see over here it says collected 4 items, 2 from the first test case and second from the test multiple. I'll add the -s to see the output as well. So I'll just will run it again. So now you can see both my test cases are running perfectly fine, right? So this is how you can run some test cases. So this was all about running your test cases and running your multiple test cases along with IDE and from the command prompt. Also, there is a provision that if you can run a specific test case, then it is also allowed to skip some test case. So if I'll say I want to skip this test case, second test case. So what I'll do is I'll use my PyTest that I have already installed in my system and I'll use the decorator, right? So we have already discussed decorator, how we can use them by the symbol @pytest dot mark dot skip. Now when I talk about skip, you can see that there are so many functions and method already made by just using the skip, right? You can skip it, skip some tests, skip until this, skip white space, skip. There's so many skip cases. So we'll be discussing how we can skip some test cases logically, but for the time being, just for the sake of demonstration, I'll simply will say I do not want to execute this one. I do not want to execute the test case. Okay, now I want to run this. It's giving me an error because my PyTest is not imported in my function. So I'll say PyTest and now I'll run the test case. Instead of running it from the IDE, I'll simply will run it from my command prompt. Okay, now over here you can see it says it has collected 4 items from the first module. Both my test cases have been run. In the second module, the test multiple module, first case has been run but the second has been skipped. You can see this S donate that it has been skipped, and the output also informs you that 3 passed and 1 skipped in that much seconds. Okay, we'll be looking how we can work with another test runner as well while we are working with the skipping. So for the time being, it's all for the today's video. You do practice all this and we'll be covering more topics like how we can group the test cases in different genres and how we can parameterize them. For the time being, thank you and do practice.